Anti-gun legislation seeps its way into state legislatures. Hillary Clinton speaks out on the heat wave that America is going through. And Obama's personal chef dies mysteriously. All that and more today on Speechless, The Daily Show. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless, The Daily Show. I'm your host, Phares. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tons to talk about today, but first, please don't forget to like this video. It's the buttons right down there. I dare you. You got to like it. Subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. Working my way up to 1,000. Recently hit over 600. Thank you to everybody who's already subscribed, but you could subscribe and don't miss a day of this content, guys. I'm always trying to bring you some of the most up-to-date and interesting news in terms of politics and everything like that. And always leave a comment. Leave a comment into the video. Let me know what you think about the guests I have on, the things I have to say, everything like that. If you disagree with me, I want to hear from you the most. Leave a comment about whatever you're thinking about, whatever, but what I'm saying, leave a comment about anything. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to get started here. So today I had a really fun experience. I went to a gun range. And so for anybody who doesn't know me, I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. So I got to be honest, guns were not super stressed when I was a kid. We had some of the best policing in the nation in Naperville, Illinois. That's where I grew up. And so guns weren't really the biggest thing. And so really a lot of the experience I had with guns and the way I was taught originally by my schools and everything was that guns were bad. And then I started growing up a little bit and started learning about, and then I joined the Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout myself. And so I joined the Boy Scouts and I got the rifle shooting and the shotgun shooting merit badges. Loved getting those, learning how to take apart the weapons that we were using, the firearms, taking them apart, cleaning them, how to respect them and respect the laws, regulations, and rules that come along with responsible firearm ownership. And since I've become, I don't want to say I'm a gun nut. I don't know everything. I'm not the smartest. I don't go shooting every week or anything like that, but I do enjoy firearms as a hobby and also see a significant need for them, especially with things like the Safety Act in Illinois. The Safety Act being that the one that eliminates cash bail, tears away respect and appreciation for law enforcement, and pretty much puts a lot of criminals back on the street. So I know people, including my good friend David Paul Blumenshine of Cities 92.9, who are firearm owners for the purpose of potential self-defense. It's the kind of thing we were just talking to one of the gun store workers when I was at the gun shop today. And I was talking to him and he said, it's the kind of thing where you'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And so I totally understand that. And so I went shooting a little bit today. And so I have a little bit of a clip here. I added it down so you guys can see. You could go criticize my form in the comments. Let me know what you think. But this was me shooting a little bit at the range today. Here's that. So yes, that was me out at the range, taking some shots, having a good time. I'll show you guys, I brought with me my target right there. You can see on there. I mean, let me know. I got some near the center and everything. I had a lot of fun out there at the range with my good friend, David Paul Blumenshine. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about everything I was doing there. And if you're a gun nut and if you think I could do better on my form or anything, let me know. I'd love to know what I could be doing better. Cause I just think it's a hobby. It's a right. But it also could be your last line of defense in the worst case scenario. And so, I always like to learn, and I'm responsible about my firearm usage. And I do follow all the laws, even the ones in Illinois that seem to be like the FOID card, which a lot of people might not know what the FOID card is. The firearm owner's identification card. Well, I don't necessarily have firearms in my own name. You do have to have it to even go shooting, really, or you have to be with somebody that has a FOID card. I'm not 100% sure, but I have my FOID card. And so I do use it. And I like to learn as much as I can because I want to be an informed firearm user. But there is legislation across the country that is now in the process of threatening firearm owners and firearm users. And so there's a gun group. This is out of Massachusetts. There's a gun group tells residents to consider moving from the blue state of Massachusetts after a lawmaker proposes a gun control bill. This is from just about a week ago. There's a bill out of Massachusetts where it's a 140-page omnibus bill out of Fox News, an act of modernizing firearms law is what it's called. So that's what they always try to do. When it's a gun grab bill or an anti-gun bill, they'll always try to say, well, it's modernizing, or we have to adapt with everything. And so this law makes sweeping changes to Massachusetts gun laws. This includes mandating that all firearms and feeding devices be registered, banning people under 21 from buying or carrying a semi-automatic shotgun or rifle, and then banning concealed carry of firearms on private property unless expressly permitted, and much more. There's a lot this goes after. And the gun group, the National Association for Gun Rights, said, quote, if Massachusetts makes House Docket 4420 law, Massachusetts will become the most anti-gun state in the country. What Massachusetts is clearly trying to do here is basically repeal the Second Amendment as we know it. Further, they had to say, this is real bad news for any gun owner that lives in Massachusetts. Hines said, basically, pack your bags and leave because it's untenable if this thing passes. The National Association for Gun Rights issued a travel advisory for anyone who lives in Massachusetts or is traveling to Massachusetts because of the bill last week. The bill also cracks down on firearm adjacent areas, including banning targets with human silhouettes at ranges, which is like what I just showed you. They would ban that kind of thing. Yeah, we'll bring it back up so everybody can see it. They would ban this from being at gun ranges, banning people from under the age of 18 from possessing mace or pepper spray, and adding stun guns under the definition of firearms, which is absolutely crazy. So they are really going after everything. People under the age of 18 from possessing mace or pepper spray. In a lot of urban areas, if you have to take the train to and from or public transit, wouldn't you want to have that little extra defense when you can't necessarily carry a firearm? Understandable, under 18, okay, that's an argument to be had, under 18 carrying a firearm, but having mace even? So what this bill, this is the representative from the National Association for Gun Rights, he says, so what this bill will actually do is prohibit a young high school girl from being able to defend herself even with mace. I think the states are trying to ban stun guns because I honestly think they just want to leave you defenseless. Yeah. Registration leads to confiscation. If you're putting yourself on a government list of what firearms you own and how many you own, best be sure that the government is going to be knocking on your door one day. And that's really the slippery slope that this leads to, is it starts off with, well, this is common sense gun reform. And then it'll eventually lead to where the government knows every little thing that you have in your home that you could possibly use to defend yourself. Look, again, it's a slippery slope argument. I'm not denying that. But the people that love gun control are the people that are big government, that love that the government can do literally anything to you without you being able to fight back. Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany, disarmed its citizens. Mao Zedong, disarmed citizens. Joseph Stalin, disarmed citizens. Australia right now, disarming citizens. And I'm not one that likes to advocate for the idea of having to revolt against our government. I think we're in a day and age where that shouldn't have to be how it is. Our revolt should be at the ballot box, where we elect people that will make sure that a full-on 1776 doesn't have to happen. But right now, the way they are coming after our last line of defense is incredibly scary. And Illinois, my home state, is doing the exact same thing. Illinois, just like Massachusetts is coming after people's guns, Illinois has been in the news for the last 8-9 months with their Illinois assault weapons ban. The last update I've really seen about it was back in late June, about a month ago now, when gun control was on the docket in a federal courtroom in Chicago. Back in, I believe this is from ABC 7 on June 29th. The Illinois assault weapons ban went from the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. The popularity of the weapons the law proposes to ban could play a critical role in this decision. As I mentioned earlier, I am by no means a legal or a gun expert. However, I do have one of the people that has been instrumental in this lawsuit against this legislation, Tom Devore, with me right here. Tom, how's it going?
I'm fine. How are you, sir?
I'm doing amazing. I just wanted to give everybody a update on what is going with this assault weapons ban in Illinois. Would you mind giving a brief synopsis for anybody who has not tuned in before as to what this law is, what's your role in it, and then where are we at with it?
Well, there's a couple of different avenues. The law in general places a blanket prohibition on some undetermined amount of weapons. Let's call it AR platforms at this point. There's some other handguns, etc. But what it does is it says after January 10th, 2023, you can no longer acquire these weapons if they fall within these categories, and that by the end of the year, if you owned them and had them prior to that, that you have to register them with the Illinois State Police. There's two different avenues of which that's being contested. One's in the federal court, one's in the state court. In the federal court, there's a couple of cases that are pending, one in Southern District of Illinois, one in the Northern District of Illinois. They're in front of the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals right now, to where there's been arguments made on those matters, and I don't believe a decision's been rendered. There was an opportunity where they tried to go earlier on with that federal case to the United States Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court chose, at least at that time, not to hear the case, but they specifically said, don't let that dishearten you. And what I believe that means is that the United States Supreme Court is waiting for these lower courts, the courts of appeals and the federal system, to render decisions based upon the new legal standard that was adopted last year by the U.S. Supreme Court on gun laws. And I think this Illinois law flies straight in the face of the new jurisprudence of the U.S. Supreme Court. I don't think it survives when it gets there. We'll see what happens in the Seventh Circuit. As far as the state court cases, I'm the one that got the first injunction against the governor and this state law in the state courts. Our injunction's still in existence. However, that case, what happened after we filed our case is that a politician thought he was being clever, copy and pasted our lawsuit into his own lawsuit, and ran out there and got overzealous and ended up in front of the Illinois Supreme Court on the legal issues that we've raised. And in my legal opinion, he got in a hurry, which may not bode well for the people of Illinois in the state court. They argued that case in the Illinois Supreme Court, I believe, a month, 6 weeks ago. They haven't rendered a decision yet, but what that means for our clients in our case is, while that's pending in front of the Illinois Supreme Court, we can't move our case. It's kind of sitting idle, which is unfortunate, because I had some big plans for how I was going to deal with the Illinois legislature and the governor, but that kind of got stifled by this overzealous politician who, quite frankly, wasn't interested in defending people's constitutional rights. He was interested in trying to make a name for himself, and it's caused us some grief. We'll see how it goes. But the state court case, our case, is kind of sitting idle while his case is in front of the Illinois Supreme Court on some state law constitutional issues.
Absolutely. Well, so I was just covering too, right before we got you on, I was covering, there's a Massachusetts law that, I don't know, have you heard of this one?
Briefly, but go ahead, help me out.
Yeah, there's a Massachusetts law, and it basically comes for a lot of different things. It's a 140-page omnibus bill titled, and we all know how the lefties do this, an act of modernizing firearm laws, when in reality, yeah, I know, they try to make it sound so nice and everything.
Can't use progressive anymore. We got to use modernize.
Exactly. They're going to modernize the firearm laws. And a lot of what it is, so it bans people from under 21 from buying or carrying semi-automatic shotguns or rifles, which in some places is considered commonplace now, but bans concealed carry firearms on private property unless you have a very specific permit. It makes it so they mandate that all firearms and feeding devices be registered with the state. It also even cracks down on other things, human silhouettes and those kinds of targets, bans those from being at ranges, bans people from under the age of 18 from possessing mace or pepper spray, and adds stun guns under the definition of firearms. This one, to me, is even worse than the assault weapons ban we have here in Illinois. Why do you think, from your legal opinion, why do you think that legislatures across the nation are going after not only, just as we see here, not just firearms themselves, but even defense and self-defense, adding stun guns to the definition of firearms, banning people from under 18 from possessing mace? Why do you think they're going after self-defense so hard?
Well, look, that's, people have to appreciate, and I know that it can be complicated sometimes, but when this nation was founded, we didn't have 100% of God-fearing, gun-loving, warriors in this nation back then. There were liberals back in the 1700s, okay? It's true. And if you read the Federalist Papers and you study the debates of our Constitution, you see that play out in real time. And so these ideas that let's call them the progressive modernization, that it's nothing new. These people have always existed. And I'm going to say these people. If they don't like me marginalizing them, I don't care. But here's why. You can take the law and set the law over to the left for a second, hypothetically speaking. And what does that mean? People will do whatever they think they need to do, irrespective of the law. And if they can get away with it, the law doesn't matter. And so the lesson that the people of this nation need to understand is that you can't just sit back anymore and blindly rely upon the greatness of America 250 years ago. You better damn well fight for it right now, because the Constitution and what the law says, that is all secondary to what the people do. And if enough people just say, we've had enough of this nonsense, quit it, they'll stop. And they're not going to stop because some Second Amendment in the 1770s says the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. They don't care about that. They'll stop when the pressure of today overwhelms them to the point that they shut up. Because the prime example I'll give you is Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
And the Bud Light. I don't need to get into the debate about Mr. Mulvaney or Mrs. Mulvaney, whatever the hell you want to call them.
Yeah.
I don't care. That person can live their life any way they want to live it. But the point I'm making to you is that response by the American people was so overwhelming that what did Bud Light do? They shut up and they stayed out of that. You want the lefties and the progressives and the modern people to leave this gun stuff alone? People need to step up and very powerfully say, shut up. And it'll all go away. And we don't have to get into the courtrooms and fight these battles in courtrooms, because they can be won by people finally saying, we've had enough of this, move along. But until we do that, we're going to keep dealing with this stuff. And there's nothing we can do about it as lawyers or as patriots or whatever label you want to put. We're going to fight about those things until the American people say, we've had enough of this. We're going to move on. Leave it alone.
Absolutely. And so there was my basically final question, because you talk about how we can stand up and everything like that. I've oftentimes told people to call your legislator or whatever. And a lot of times I feel like, depending on who your legislator is, they already know where they fall on that issue, and they're not really going to necessarily listen to the individual. In terms of this Massachusetts one, there was a organization, let me find it. The National Association for Gun Rights said that people should just get out of Massachusetts if this passes. What do you think the solution here? The way I would see it is you try to hit these legislators at their wallet. You try to hit them at the ballot box. And this guy and this organization just says to leave the state entirely. What would your kind of, if the Illinois assault weapons ban were to pass, if other legislation like that in other states were to pass, what would your advice be? Would it be actually calling your legislator, or what other ideas do you have?
Don't call your legislature. It's a waste of time, because and I say that seriously. I'm not even joking. Look, There's the reality that people don't like to hear from me. Is the government represents the people who participate in government. They don't represent the people. And so human beings have a problem. We've always had the problem, as long as we've walked this earth, is we're lazy. And people don't care until it smacks them right in the face. Until then, they don't pay any attention. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, who's going to fix it? If we don't change that, it doesn't matter. So you can call your elected representative because you're pissed off because something happens. You know what? They don't care, because they've never heard from you before. They don't know who you are. And they're going to just know you're going to go away. If you want to change policy in this state, in Massachusetts, in this nation, it takes concerted, consistent, effective participation, not just when you're upset about something. You need to get in the game. You need to fight. And guess what? If you don't win tomorrow, don't go home. Fight next week, and the week after, and the week after. And when you build that momentum and you turn that sustainable energy into a $30 billion shellacking like Anheuser-Busch got, you watch how things change in a heartbeat. Until that happens, I'm not so sure.
Well, Tom, I always appreciate talking to you about all this information. You always bring quite the motivational speech, as well as just education to the microphone. But I do want to make sure everybody, what are other ways that people can be updated on what's going on in Illinois? And I assume your Facebook probably is a great place to keep an eye on. What other areas, what ways can people be informed on these issues?
I mean, it is. I mean, there's some gun organizations. Gun Saves Lives is a good one. They give a pretty good update on occasion. That's a good organization. I like what they do. You know, I'm not a big fan of the State Rifle Association, but they kind of say what's going on, but usually with their political spin on it. But Gun Saves Lives is a good one. You know, and right now, as far as Illinois, waiting on the Illinois Supreme Court to issue a decision. The federal court, we're waiting for the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals to issue a decision. Until both of those courts move, we don't have a lot we can talk about at this point in time as it relates to the Illinois law.
Gotcha. It's a waiting game. Absolutely. Tom, thank you so much for joining me today.
All right, sir. Have a good day. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. So that was my good friend, attorney Tom Devore, giving us a great update on the state of not only Illinois and their assault weapons ban, but also the nation, Massachusetts, and what's going on there, but also just the national topic of gun rights. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Phares. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and go check out this video after it's done premiering. You can see everything that I'm talking about as after it's premiered. But I got more to talk about here, away from guns a little bit. Hillary Clinton has come out and she blames MAGA Republicans for making it hot outside. Actual headline from Fox News. Hillary Clinton blames MAGA Republicans for making it hot outside. And no, she's not talking about how absolutely attractive we are and how hot we are. No, she's talking about the state of the heat wave that's kind of hitting a lot of the United States. Former Secretary of State out of Fox News, Hillary Clinton, took to Twitter on today actually, to blast MAGA Republicans for the recent summer heat wave hitting communities nationwide. So we'll take a look at this tweet here from Hillary Clinton. She says here, yes, she's hot enough for you? Thank a MAGA Republican, or better yet, vote them out of office. What a shrill lady. That's the nice way to put it. So she was responding to this tweet that just has all these all these headlines and stuff from WAPO, CNN, CNBC, Forbes, CBS, everything. Phoenix hits record for 19th day of 110 plus degrees in a row. 39-day heat wave could last into August after smashing 2,300 plus record. Yeah, you got all these different headlines. And then they say on this cap action says the climate crisis is here. That's why President Biden passed historic clean energy investments that will grow the economy and help fight climate change. Every MAGA Republican in Congress voted no. Ooh, all those evil MAGA Republicans. Yeah. Continuing with this article, though, as you could see, the post included an image of recent media stories highlighting a recent spate of high temperatures in the United States and noted Republicans voted against the Inflation Reduction Act. Remember that one? The Inflation Reduction Act? Democrats' $739 billion climate package, which President Biden signed into law last year, which didn't only have to do, it was a absolutely insanely large spending package. And it's the Inflation Reduction Act that many experts even said, if anything, prolonged and inflated our economy, prolonged the rising inflation and everything, and inflated, if not even inflated more, our economy. Yeah. Shoving money out into the market actually causes inflation, $739 billion. But no. According to this left-wing cap action, it's the MAGA Republicans' fault for not helping the economy and helping fight climate change. And this is also funny because in a separate post, Clinton, not too long ago, 8 days after this tweet and everything comes 8 days after the New York Times editorial had calling on leaders to politicize the weather. According to Fox Forecast Center, this week is set to be the hottest week of the summer as a shifting upper air pattern will plunge the East Coast into dangerous heat and humidity. An estimated 75% of the nation will be blanketed in warmer than average temperatures on Wednesday and Thursday. The data showed the high temperatures will impact more than $260 million Americans. 260 million Americans throughout the country, excluding the Pacific Northwest and parts of the northern Rockies. And millions of Americans remain under excessive heat warnings or heat advisories. However, the temperatures aren't expected to really break any records. It's the weather. But every time that it gets hot, here's the weird thing, too. So it used to be global warming. Back in like the early 2000s, the Democrats pushed this global warming narrative. It was global warming, global warming, global warming, global warming. That's Al Gore had the inconvenient truth, when the inconvenient truth was that a lot of his documentary was based on lies. But okay, that's the real inconvenient truth, Mr. Gore. And then they started changing it to climate change. Why? Because it wasn't just about warming anymore, because now it's every time there's a wildfire, every time there's excessive heat, every time there's a natural disaster, every time it's excessively cold, it's climate change. It's all climate change. And it's the Maga Republicans, it's their alarmism. You know, both sides partake in alarmism. Both sides do, 100% alarmism. But no alarmism is as great as the left when it comes to climate change. 12 years. It's going to be 12 years, and then the world's going to end. Remember that one? 12 years till the world's going to end. That's what they say. And they simply do it to scare the living crap out of people into voting and donating to Democrats and villainizing Republicans along the way. Again, all it is it's getting pretty hot outside. Livable for the most part, but pretty hot. Hillary Clinton comes out and says it's MAGA Republicans' fault. Okay, Clinton. Okay. In another story that actually reminds me a lot of the Clintons, surprisingly, Obama had a personal chef that drowned suspiciously. Out of the Daily Wire, Obama White House chef found dead after paddleboarding accident near former President Martha's Vineyard mansion. A top chef for President Barack Obama's White House kitchen staff was found dead on yesterday, after a paddleboarding accident occurred in the Edgartown Great Pond near the former president's multi-million-dollar mansion on Martha's Vineyard, state police said. Tafari Campbell, 45, who worked as the sous chef for the former First family, was visiting Martha's Vineyard from Dumfries, Virginia at the time of his passing, authorities say. Campbell went missing on Sunday after local authorities reportedly received a call from the Obama residence saying an adult male paddleboarder struggled to stay above the water's surface until submerging and did not resurface, local media reported. A male paddleboarder, this is a statement from the police, a male paddleboarder who had gone into the water appeared to briefly struggle to stay on the surface and then submerged and did not resurface. Another paddleboarder was on the pond with him at the time and observed him going under the water. After several state and local emergency personnel, including the U.S. Coast Guard, arrived on the scene, Massachusetts State Police divers recovered Campbell's body approximately 100 feet from the shore shortly before 10 a.m. on Monday. Authorities said that they located Campbell's body using a boat with an attached side scan sonar system and aerial support from MPS and U.S. Coast Guard helicopter crews. Obama, who purchased the nearly 7,000 square foot Martha's Vineyard estate back in 2019 for $11.75 million, sits yards away from the pond where the authorities discovered the former White House kitchen staff member. President and Mrs. Obama were not present at the residence at the time of the accident, according to Massachusetts State Police. And the Obama family came out in a statement saying they are grieving the loss of a truly wonderful man. Further, they said Tafari was a beloved part of our family. When we first met him, he was a talented sous chef at the White House, creative and passionate about food and its ability to bring people together. In the years that followed, we got to know him as a warm, fun, extraordinarily kind person who made all of our lives a little brighter. That's why when we were getting ready to leave the White House, we asked Tafari to stay with us, and he generously agreed. He's been a part of our lives ever since, and our hearts are broken that he's gone. The statement continued. Today, we join everybody who knew and loved Tafari, especially his wife, Cherise, and her twin boys, Xavier and Savine, in grieving the loss of the wonderful man. According to the Chicago Sun-Times, Campbell went to work for the Obamas after leaving the White House in 2017. He was known for brewing White House honey ale beer harvested from the South Lawn Garden. And there's a lot that's coming out about this. And here's the thing. I'm not one who wants to push a conspiracy theory or something that I have no evidence as a part of. But what I will say is it's a little odd. I have not seen, and I'm interested. I'm going to keep following this story because I'm interested in seeing an autopsy. I'm interested in seeing further. But here is a little bit of the timeline. of kind of what happened with this. So obviously there was the joint statement. There were I believe three statements that came out from the Massachusetts State Police. And so the first one, the Massachusetts State Police said a joint agency search operation got underway after Martha's Vineyard police and firefighters responded to a call at 7:46 p.m. on Sunday about a male paddleboarder who disappeared in the pond. An initial statement from the agency said another paddleboarder was with Campbell and witnessed him go under the water. With the help of a side scan sonar from a boat, divers were able to recover the body approximately 100 feet from the shore at a depth of about 8 feet on Monday morning. So they get a call at 7:46 p.m. Sunday about a disappeared person. Then it wasn't until Monday morning they found him in 100 feet from shore at a depth of about 8 feet. So 100 feet could be kind of far, but 8 feet is kind of shallow to drown in, especially for a man. If you look at pictures of the guy, of Campbell, he looked like a pretty in-shape dude. So I don't know exactly what happened there, but still possible to drown in. The agency also said the investigation into the fatality was being conducted by the State Police Detective Unit for the Cape and Island District in the Edgartown Police. A third statement was released from MSP when they identified Campbell as the deceased paddleboarder and described the drowning as a, quote, accident. The agency additionally noted that Barack and Michelle were not present, as I already said, at the residence at the time of the incident. Now, I'm not going to claim that it was like Michelle and Barack actually did this personally, but it's a little suspicious. And interestingly enough, the New York Post came out with an article today that is titled Tafari Campbell's Drowning Parallels a Tragic Death of a Clinton Chef. A Clinton chef. So the tragic death of a former White House sous chef of the Tafari Campbell over the weekend is sadly similar to the premature demise of another White House kitchen veteran. Campbell's death comes just 8 years after Walter Scheib, who served as the White House executive chef from 1994 to 2005, was found partially submerged in a ravine in the New Mexico mountains on June 21st of 2015. The 61-year-old Scheib was first reported missing by his girlfriend on June 14th, one day after he failed to return from a hike in the Taos Ski Valley. Scheib died from drowning, an autopsy later revealed. The Culinary Institute of America graduate was appointed White House chef in 1994, and then First Lady Hillary Clinton was wowed by his pecan-crusted rack of lamb at a West Virginia resort. Scheib eventually became known for refocusing the executive mansion's menu on American cuisine and seasonal ingredients. He remained in that position. In 2006, he co-authored the cookbook White House Chef, 11 Years, 2 Presidents, 1 Kitchen, and appeared on the Food Network's Iron Chef America. After his death in 2015, the Clintons praised Scheib's delicious and creative meals, as well as how he used his immense talents, not only to represent the very best of American cuisine to visiting leaders, but to make a difference in people's lives through nonprofit work, ABC reported. Former First Lady Laura Bush also said that she was an astounding talent. An unnamed witness saw him struggling. This is when he passed, struggling in the water before submerging a final time while paddleboarding Sunday. This is about the Campbell, 45, White House sous chef, Obama's former chef. His body was found 10 a.m. Monday following an extensive search by sniffer dogs and aerial investigators. Campbell was a sous chef at the White House through part of Bush and all of Obama's tenure. The former first family then poached him as their personal chef. Tafari was a beloved part of our family. So here's the thing. I don't have any serious like way to say that like, oh my gosh, the Obamas did this or it wasn't a drowning, anything. I'm just pointing out, like many others, that there have been a lot of mysterious deaths with people that have been surrounded by the Clintons and the Obamas and the Bushes, people that are 3 families that are known as heavily establishment. And that's all I'm going to say. Very sad, praying for the family of this lost sous chef. It's very sad. But I don't have any more information. It's just interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you have any information about this, about mysterious deaths, anything like that? I just find it interesting. I'm interested if there will be any kind of an autopsy as to how this seemingly fit man who was paddleboarding happened to drown in 8 feet water, 100 feet off the shore. That's the weirdest thing to me. I have a lot of questions, no answers. Maybe it was cardiac. Maybe it had something to do with his heart. But from everything I can see, there was nothing. There's no other investigation into the cause of death other than just saying it's a drowning. But how did he drown? A seemingly fit man in his mid-40s, passing away unexpectedly on this trip. I don't know. Super weird. That's all I got to say. So this next story, the final story I have for today is local, and I just think it's really interesting. There's a man who has been stealing Legos, and he's become known as the Lego Bandit. Yes, this is a real story. The Lego Bandit, I'm just going to pull up the pictures on screen here. So this is the Lego Bandit, everybody. This is posted by our local police department here in Normal, Illinois. So we got the Lego Bandit, and then if you scroll, so that's another picture of him, and this is all posted by our Normal police department. You can see him there. And I believe this is in a mire, going up and stealing Legos. Each and every one of them, or most of them, have these little like things on them too. And so here's what we got. So out of the Normal police department on Facebook, this is from Manhunt Monday. This week's Manhunt Monday is the story of the Lego Bandit. In all his years, the Lego Bandit has spent his days trying to build the most powerful empire in the Lego world. The Lego Bandit seeks to deprive the youth of the famous childhood toy in order to feed his own needs. On July 11th, 23, the Lego Bandit decided to add to his collection and stole $719 worth from Meijer of Legos. The Lego Bandit is a tall white male with glasses who wore a light t-shirt and jeans and fled the scene in a black SUV. If you have any information to help identify the subject, or suspect, please contact Officer Sage at 309-454-9535 if you got it, or esage@normal.org. You can also text your tip in to Normal PD. I know a lot of you guys might not be from Normal, but this is just such a weird story, right? This has become kind of a statewide story, at least, and maybe eventually a national story of this Lego Bandit, a guy who goes in and steals Legos. I got so many questions. This is like the Obama story. Like, who is this Lego Bandit? He goes into the store and he's not wearing a mask or anything. You'd think, I mean, like, especially in today's day and age, you could wear a mask or something, try to conceal your identity a little bit more. He's like a taller white guy that seems pretty identifiable. I mean, he's not super distinct in how he looks, but he seems like somebody you could identify him enough. And he's going in and stealing Legos? Of all the things to steal, Legos? Why the Legos? Why the Legos? What is he building? What is he plotting? The Lego Bandit, everybody, coming out of Central Illinois, and Normal police are looking for him. Again, almost $720 worth in Lego merchandise. Why the Legos? Why is that what he's stealing? Do you guys know? Leave me a comment. Leave it in the comments. Why is this guy stealing Legos? And if you got information on who he is, obviously go to the Normal police department. If you know anything else, let me know. I mean, I want to know more about this story too. Story tips, questions, email me, speechlesskp@gmail.com. I want to know, who is this Lego Bandit and why is he stealing Legos? Also, leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. I'm looking for more information. In early July, authorities say the Lego Bandit has allegedly stole over $700 worth of Legos from Meijer. The man is described as a tall white male with glasses. He is last seen wearing a light t-shirt and jeans and left the grocery store. What is he using all these Legos for? And how did he just get out of there too? Nobody stopped and asked him, like, hey, what's going on with this? But yeah, so the Lego Bandit, everybody, this is what society's come to. We now have people that are just stealing $700 worth of Legos from Meijer in Central Illinois. Get the weirdest flipping people here. I love all my listeners in Central Illinois, but even you got to admit, this is Normal Illinois. This story is anything but normal. The Lego Bandit, everybody. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed or got something out of something that I talked about here today. Let me know what you learned. If there's anything that you learned or anything interesting that you spotted, leave it in the comments. Let me know. Don't forget to like this video. It's right down there. I dare you. I dare you to like it. I know you won't. But you could. Go like this video, subscribe, share, and have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. I am going to watch Oppenheimer here in just a few hours, and so I'm going to be doing a review on that. Barbie is another movie. We're going to be doing reviews on all those. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. God bless you. God bless America. And God bless Central Illinois. Let's hope we can find that Lego Bandit. I'll be back tomorrow with more Speechless. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm your host, Kev Phares, and you've been watching Speechless, The Daily Show.